Good morning, Blue Jays Nation, and welcome back to Jays Latest. I'm your host, Craig Borden, and oh boy, do we have a loaded show for you today. Strap in, because we are covering the World Baseball Classic in all its glorious, chaotic beauty, and we've got some spicy Blue Jays news that is going to get your heart racing before you even finish your morning coffee. There is so much happening right now in the baseball world that it genuinely feels like someone turned the drama dial up to 11 and snapped it right off. So, let's not waste a single second. Let's play ball. Let's start where the whole world is watching right now, the 2026 World Baseball Classic, running from March 5th all the way through March 17th, with the championship game set for Daikin Park in Miami, home of the Marlins, which is either ironic or poetic depending on your perspective. This tournament has already delivered more entertainment in its opening days than some regular seasons manage in 6 months. 20 nations, 4 cities, 1 trophy. And enough jaw-dropping baseball to make you forget that opening day is still weeks away. The pools are set across San Juan, Houston, Tokyo, and Miami. And people, the action has been absolutely electric. Now, if you weren't watching yesterday, let me paint you a picture of what you missed. It was blowout city across most of the bracket, but there were some absolutely stunning performances that you do not want glossed over. Let's talk about Japan first, because the defending champions are reminding every single nation on this planet exactly why they are the favorites to go back-to-back. Japan obliterated Chinese Taipei, and I mean obliterated, putting up 13 runs while holding the Taiwanese side to just 1 measly hit. 1. The Japanese squad didn't just win that game, they put on a clinic. And just to add another layer of spectacle to the whole thing, at the time this show was being put together the day before, they were throwing a no-hitter in the World Baseball Classic. The whole situation was must-watch television, and the result was just as dominant. Japan is now 2-0 in Pool C and looking absolutely ferocious. Over in the other pools, the Dominican Republic had one of those games where you just sit back and watch greatness unfold. Fernando Tatis Jr., ladies and gentlemen. The man is on an absolute tear and apparently got a hitting tip from none other than Albert Pujols, who is managing the Dominican Republic squad this tournament. And whatever Pujols whispered in his ear has lit a fire under Tatis that borders on unfair. He is destroying baseballs right now. And it's not just Tatis. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. went 1 for 4 with 3 RBIs. Manny Machado was right behind him driving runners in. Junior Caminero homered. Julio Rodriguez, batting 7th in what might be the most stacked lineup in the history of international baseball, chipped in 3 RBIs from the 7-hole. The 7-hole. That's the kind of obscene talent depth the Dominican Republic is working with right now, and frankly, it should terrify every other team in this tournament. There were walks galore in some of these games, but none more jaw-dropping than what Team Brazil handed to the United States in their Pool B matchup. Now look, Team USA has assembled what might genuinely be the most star-studded roster in the history of this tournament. Aaron Judge is out there being Aaron Judge, which is to say he is terrifying. Cal Raleigh, Alex Bregman, Bryce Harper, these guys do not need any extra help. And yet, Brazil walked the Americans 17 times. 17 walks. Alex Bregman recorded 1 official at-bat in 5 plate appearances because he drew 4 walks. That is just, and there is no other word for it, bananas. Bryce Harper and others capitalized with a 7-run 9th inning that blew the game wide open and put Team USA firmly in the driver's seat with a dominant victory. Brandon Webb was stellar for the Americans, retiring a staggering stretch of hitters at one point that made him look borderline untouchable. To Brazil's credit, and this is important because people are going to sleep on this team and they shouldn't, the Brazilians put up a real fight early in this game. Young Manny Ramirez, yes, that Manny Ramirez's son, went 2 for 4 with 2 home runs and 2 RBIs. And Dante Bichette Jr., Dante Bichette's son, also suited up for Team Brazil and showed why the second-generation bloodlines run deep in this sport. Brazil ultimately couldn't hold back the tidal wave of American talent, but they showed enough heart and enough pop that you would be foolish to write them off entirely for the rest of pool play. Keep your eye on that squad. Meanwhile, in Pool A, based in San Juan, Puerto Rico, the Cuban side edged Panama 3-1 in what was a scrappy, tight affair with only 10 hits in the entire game. Venezuela flexed their muscles against the Netherlands, winning 6-2 in a game where a quintet of power arms in the Venezuelan bullpen simply suffocated the Dutch offense after the fifth inning. And Mexico, in one of the more dramatic reversals of the entire opening round, seemed to be locked in a nail-biter with Great Britain until the eighth inning arrived and something snapped loose in the Mexican lineup. 7 of their 8 total runs came in the 8th and 9th innings combined. Great Britain's bullpen just couldn't hold the wall. Henry Ford hit a big shot. 2 late-inning home runs for Mexico put the game away at 8-2. And here's the maddening, beautiful part. Mexico did all of that on only 6 hits. 6 hits equaling 8 runs. That is the kind of clutch baseball that makes this tournament unlike anything else. Now let's shift to the game that every Canadian fan was circling on their calendar. Team Canada. Michael Soroka drew the starting assignment against Colombia, and this is where it gets genuinely fun for us here in Blue Jays country, because this Canada roster is loaded with familiar faces. The World Baseball Classic and the Blue Jays are essentially the same conversation right now, and today's Canada-Colombia game is Exhibit A. Colombia came into that matchup already stinging from a loss to Puerto Rico, so Canada had a chance to pile on, and we are absolutely expecting them to show up and show out. Today is the day. Eyes on that game, folks. But now, and this is where we pivot to the news that every single Blue Jays fan woke up desperate to talk about, let's discuss what is happening down in Dunedin, Florida, because spring training is cooking and there are storylines everywhere you turn. Let's start with the good stuff, because after all the injury news that has been piling up, we absolutely need some good stuff. Jose Berrios took the mound Friday and looked every bit the ace that Blue Jays fans fell in love with before last season's messy ending. 4 innings of work, 63 pitches, and while he did give up 2 earned runs, both coming on a solo home run by Pittsburgh outfielder Dominic Fletcher, his stuff was crisp, his fastball was sitting 92 to 94 miles per hour with excellent location. And manager John Schneider was practically gushing afterward. Schneider specifically called out the velocity, the location, and the conviction behind Berrios' breaking ball, saying it was something Berrios really wanted to fix coming into camp. Mission accomplished so far. His ERA on the spring sits at 3.38, and in the context of everything happening with this rotation right now, that is genuinely encouraging news. And yes, we do need to address the elephant in the room when it comes to Berrios, because Blue Jays fans have been in their feelings about him since the World Series run last fall. After being left off the postseason roster, there was a take my ball and go home energy that didn't sit right with a lot of people. But this spring, Berrios has walked into camp, apologized to his teammates, and backed it up with performances that look like the real deal. Schneider has said the situation has been handled, that Berrios is the normal, competitive Jose who belongs in a big league rotation, and that it could have been handled differently by everyone involved. The spirit of moving forward is strong in Dunedin right now, and if Berrios continues to look this sharp, the whole episode will fade into the background very fast. This is exactly the version of Berrios that this team needs, and Blue Jays fans, your job right now is to give him all the support you can. He's pitching with a chip on his shoulder, and that is a beautiful thing. Now, the injury report, this is where we have to be honest with you all, because there is a lot swirling around this pitching staff, and you deserve the full picture. Shane Bieber, one of the most beloved Blue Jays acquisitions in recent memory, is dealing with right forearm fatigue, a lingering issue tracing back to the intensity of last year's postseason run. The MRI showed no structural damage, which is the good news. The less good news is that he is still throwing at 120 feet, has not yet gotten back on the mound, and both he and Yimi Garcia are confirmed to open the season on the injured list. Bieber himself has been described as chomping at the bit to return, and the reports from his heavier throwing sessions have all been positive, but there is no timeline being set. The Blue Jays are playing this week by week, and rightfully so. This is a man coming off Tommy John surgery who then gutted through a playoff run on fumes, and the organization knows that having him healthy in September and October matters infinitely more than rushing him back in April. Trust the process on this one, even if the waiting is painful. Yimi Garcia's situation is also one to monitor. The 35-year-old reliever had elbow surgery last September to clean up scar tissue, and his absence creates a real hole in the high-leverage bullpen situations that someone is going to have to step up and fill. On top of all of that, Bowden Francis is completely out for the entire 2026 season after undergoing UCL reconstruction surgery. That is a brutal blow to the depth of this staff. And Anthony Santander is also beginning the season on the injured list following left shoulder surgery. The injury list before opening day is longer than anyone wanted. But, and this is critical, the Blue Jays built this roster with exactly this kind of adversity in mind. Kevin Gausman is your opening day starter and anchor. Dylan Cease, freshly acquired, gives this rotation a terrifying 1-2 punch at the top. Trey Yesavage, the rookie who doesn't pitch like one, slots in as the number 3. Berríos locks in the 4 spot with conviction. And the 5th spot is a competition that includes Cody Ponce and Eric Lauer, both of whom have shown they can eat innings and help this team win. The rotation still has championship caliber upside when everyone is healthy and the depth to survive until they get there. And, oh, by the way, today Max Scherzer takes the mound in Clearwater. Max Scherzer, pitching in Blue Jays spring training in his 19th big league season. Pinch yourself, because this is real life. Now let's get back to Dunedin and the Friday game that had people genuinely losing their minds in the best possible way. Blue Jays versus the Pittsburgh Pirates, and this game told you everything you need to know about the kind of energy this team has heading into the regular season. Berríos put 4 solid innings on the board. The Jays found themselves down 2-0 early after Fletcher's home run, and then the 4th inning happened. Toronto loaded the bases, the tension built, and then Nathan Lukes stepped to the plate and absolutely tattooed a grand slam off Pittsburgh's Jarrod Bayless. This ball did not just leave the yard. According to multiple reports, it hit the Blue Jays' own clubhouse, which sits right there beyond the right field wall at TD Ballpark. That is a special kind of destruction. Lukes went down on one knee, finishing his swing on a ball he drove so hard into the right field line that the ball practically laughed at the laws of physics on its way out of the park. And here's the part that makes this story even better. Lukes has had a rough go of it this spring in the early going, working through the grind of competition for a roster spot. That grand slam, that is a statement. That is the kind of moment that shifts a guy's entire trajectory in spring training. His batting average on the spring has been sitting at absurd heights. We're talking numbers that don't exist in polite conversation. And every time you look up, he is making contact and making noise. At what point does Yohendrick Pinango, also looking electric this spring and batting .391, force someone's hand on this roster? The Thunder appears to be back in his bat too, and he picked up another hit in the Friday win. These are the good headaches to have. Dalton Barreto, Jonathan Klaas with a triple, Riley Terada with his 3rd double of the spring. The young talent coming through Dunedin right now has serious pop and serious purpose. After Lukes' grand slam flipped the game on its head, the Blue Jays never looked back. Solo home runs in the 8th from Yohendrick Pinango and Eddie Micheletti Jr., who had a multi-hit afternoon, put the exclamation mark on a final score of 9-2. The Pirates never knew what hit them. It was a complete team performance. The bullpen was clean across 6 innings with Jeff Hoffman, Jorge Alcala, Tyler Rogers, Brendan Little, and Tommy Nance all doing their jobs, and the whole afternoon felt like a team exhaling and reminding everyone, including themselves, that this is still a dangerous ball club. Opening day against the Oakland Athletics is getting closer by the minute, and the countdown is absolutely on. The Blue Jays went to Game 7 of the World Series last fall. They are not a team that is going to settle for anything short of that ceiling this year. Yes, there are injuries. Yes, there is uncertainty at the back of the rotation. Yes, the bullpen needs to prove it can hold things together while Garcia works his way back. But the pieces are there. The talent is there. The hunger is there. And right now, in Dunedin, in the early days of spring, the Blue Jays look like a team with something to prove and all the tools to prove it. Keep watching the World Baseball Classic for your Blue Jays fix in the meantime, because the tournament is only going to get more dramatic as pool play tightens up and elimination pressure starts setting in. Remember, this is a round-robin format, and every team can only absorb so many losses before they are out the door. Every game matters. Every swing matters. Every walk matters, as Team Brazil painfully learned against Team USA. That is everything for today's episode of Jay's Latest. If you made it this far, you already know you love this show, so do me a favor. Smash that like button right now because it costs you absolutely nothing and it means the world to us. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, because we are here every single day bringing you the deepest Blue Jays and baseball coverage around. Drop a comment below. Tell me what you think about the Barrios redemption arc. Tell me who you think wins the World Baseball Classic. Tell me if you think Nathan Lukes makes this opening day roster, because that conversation is worth having. I want to hear everything you've got. I'm Craig Borden. This has been Jay's Latest, and I will talk to you very soon. Let's go Blue Jays.